Good afternoon, dear students. Today, let us discuss semiotics. Let us discuss semiotics. Semiotics can be defined very simply as a study of science. Study of science. S-I-G-N-S, science. Already we came to know that Ferdinand de Saussure, he proposed that everything is science. Everything in the language is science. So semiotics can be defined as the study of science. The study of science. Science include words, gestures, sounds, objects, and visuals that generate meaning as a part of a system of signification. As a part of a system of signification, right? So, what can be treated as a sign? Words, gestures, sounds, objects, and visuals that generate meaning as a part of system of signification. These are all the signs. For example, a traffic light. Try to understand the sign. A traffic light is a sign that generates meaning. The meaning may be asking us to look at the light and above, move on only when it is green, stop when it is red. That is a sign here. The traffic light as a sign will communicate something. What does it communicate? Okay, when we look at the light above, then we will find either green light or red light or red color or green color or orange color. If it is green color, it indicates us or it permits us to pass on. If it is red color, we have to stop. We have to obey the traffic signal. That's why a traffic light will communicate as something. That is a sign. That is a sign. A man with a gun is also a sign. A man with a gun is also a sign. He signifies either danger and threat or safety and security. He signifies either danger and threat or safety and security. Okay, that's why a man with a gun is also a sign. Okay, anyhow, there are two accepted origins of semiotics. One is Saussurean linguistics. From Saussurean linguistics, this semiotics is originated. That is one way. And another one, that is Saussure uses the term semiology to describe the study of science. Okay, Saussure termed it as semiology. Right? The same concept, the study of science. For the study of science, he called semiology. The other origin of contemporary semiotics is the other origin of contemporary semiotics is the work of the American philosopher and logician C.S. Peirce. He preferred the word semiotics Instead of semiology, he preferred the word semiotics. Okay, the same science, the study of science. Semiotics is popular among the students of media studies, film studies, and cultural studies, in addition to those of literary criticism. In addition to those of literary criticism. Okay, this semiotics is popular among the students of media studies, film studies, and cultural studies, right? So, in all these areas, in all these realms or fields, there is a science called semiotics. There is a science called semiotics. Okay, these are all different fields which this semiotics study, in which the semiotic or a semiotic linguist studies. Semiotics provides them with a tool. What is the use of the semiotics? What is the significance of this semiotics? For that, answer is here. Semiotics provides them with the tools required to analyze the form of a text. Okay, this semiotics will provide the linguist a tool or the critic a tool to analyze the form of literary text. Okay, those tools are required to analyze the form of literary text and to read the text as a part of general social systems. To read text as part of the general social science, systems of science, where meanings are generated, accepted, and subverted as a part of the cultural process. In the social system of science, the meanings are generated. The meanings are generated, accepted, and subverted as a part of a social, as a part of a cultural process. Okay, semiotics helps them relate. Semiotics helps them relate the various elements of a text to each other and to the larger social system. Semiotics helps them relate. Okay, in this science system, everything is related. There is a relation among the science. There is a relation among the science. Semiotics helps them relate the various elements of a text to each other and to the larger social system. Larger social system, right? So let us understand what is C.S. Peirce. C.S. Peirce's contribution to the semiotic study. He offered a three-cornered or a triadic model of sign. Triadic model of sign. Okay. Of course, it is comparable to Ferdinand de Saussure's semiology, because he proposes the same. Okay, by using other set of words, this Pearson explained almost the same concept. Okay, this is C.S. Peirce. He proposed that there is a representamen. There is a representamen. Okay, what is a representamen? Yeah, three corner. Okay, triadic model of the science. Three sides or three aspects of the sign. Three aspects of the sign. The first one is representamen. It is the form of the sign takes. It is the form of the sign takes. the sign takes a form, the sign takes a form, that form he termed as representative, that is material or immaterial, like sounds, writing, a painting, a gesture, a word, whatever it may be. Surely this sign will take a shape or a form. That form we call representative. Okay, this is the equivalent of the Saussurean signifier. This is the equivalent of the Saussurean signifier. Okay, so it is also sometimes described as a sign vehicle. It is also sometimes described as a sign vehicle because it carry the meaning. It carry the meaning of that sign. It carry the meaning of that sign. Okay. Second aspect or second side is interpretant. Interpretant. Okay, interpretant. It is the sense made of the sign. What is the sense that can be made of the sign? Okay, because the sign creates in the mind of the listener or viewer as a result of reading or listening to the representative. When as a listener or reader, listener or viewer, okay, as a result of reading or listening to the representative, when we look at that form, then an idea or a sense may be made in our mind. May be made in our mind. It is the sense made of the sign that the sign creates in the mind of the listener or viewer. What is the sense this sign generates in our mind? What is the sense this sign generates in our mind? That is interpretant. Okay, of course, it is a we can consider it as a signification or signified. Okay, so it is important to note that interpretant is not the person doing. Interpretant is not the person doing the reading, but rather the idea generated in the mind when we see the sign. When we look at the sign, what is the idea we can get? What is the idea can be generated in our mind? That is interpretant. It is not the reader. Interpretant is not the reader or is not the person doing that reading, but rather the idea generated in mind when we see the sign. When we see the sign, right? So the third one is object. The third one is object. So dear students, it is that to which the sign refers. Then what is the object? Okay, this sign will refer. This sign will refer. It is sometimes called the referent. It is sometimes called the referent. You may have a doubt. You may have a doubt. That idea, what is generated, may be the reference. Okay, it is not. Suppose if I mention why in the context that, for example, let us suppose a boy is not listening. A boy is not listening. Most of the times, parents and teachers and others, they warn him. They try to change his attitude, but he didn't change. In that situation, okay, We can say dog's tail. Okay, dog's tail. Okay, we can't straighten the dog's tail. Okay, because yeah, when we mention that word dog's tail, it means that his attitude can't be corrected. His attitude can't be changed. Okay, so when we utter that sign, okay, dog's tail, then it refer the tail of the dog. Our words will refer the tail of the dog, the particular part of the dog. Okay, that is a reference. It is that to which the sign refer. But here, in from that reference, we are trying to get some meaning. We are trying to get some meaning. Yeah, from the beginning, are we not uh, having we seen? Haven't we seen the tail of the dog? We have seen many times. We might have seen many times. But here, why the speaker draws the attention to the tail of the dog? To express a particular intention, not to give the fact that the dog's tail is not straight. Okay? It is like a curve. It is like a curve, right? So this object, what this sign refers, this object, what the sign refers, is sometimes called the referent. Sometimes called the referent. Okay. All three make up the sign. All the three make up the sign, because there should be representative. Okay. Okay, the form into which, okay, our words may convey it or convert it or transmit it. And that when we convert that our words into a particular sign, our feelings into a particular sign, then there should be a interpretant. There should be a interpretant. Okay, that means a sense which can be created by that sign, And after, besides this too, there should be a reference. There should be a referent. Okay, all these three make the sign, make up the sign. All these three make up the sign. The interaction between these three, the interaction among these three is semiosis. Okay, this is C.S. Peirce. Okay, he termed the interaction among these three is semiosis. He proposed language is the effect of this interaction. Language is effect of this interaction. Okay, he proposes that there should be a sign. Okay, the sign should have three aspects, three folds or three sides. One is representative, another one interpretant, and third one object. Okay. But here he is going to make an important argument, an important statement, C.S. Peirce, he is going to make an important statement. The sign generates another sign. The sign generates another sign. The interpretant in our mind. What does it mean? A signifier. Okay, in words of Ferdinand de Saussure. In words of Ferdinand de Saussure, we can say a signifier generates at another signifier in our mind. A signifier generates at another signifier in our mind, right? So the sign generates another sign, that is interpretant. This process of science giving rise to other science in our act of reading or listening is a feature of language. It is a special feature of language. It is a special feature of language. This process of science giving rise to other science in our act of reading or listening is a feature of language. Therefore, we have an unending semiosis. We have unending semiosis where the representment or signifier generates more signs, which we then have to interpret, leading to more signs and so on infinitely. So on infinitely. Okay, so if I say he's good, if I say he's good, okay, who may be good? Who may be good? Surely we can refer a particular person. Surely we can refer a particular person. For example, if I say Rama is good, okay, when I utter the word Rama is good, the listener or the reader, okay, may thought he is good because he speaks always truth. The other may think that he is good because he worships his parents. He takes care of his parents. Okay, then by listening the word good, again another sign, another signifier may be generated. What is goodness? What is goodness? Okay, then again we have to find out some more. We have to find out some more objects which may be good. Then we will try to find out where that goodness is. Likewise, again and more signs may be generated. That is up to infinity. Up to infinity. Okay. Why all the time one referent should be interpreted only? Why all the time only one reference should be interpreted in one way? Only one meaning is to be generated from one statement? Okay, more statements or more ideas. Okay, the second wife of the king is good. Maybe some people may think that the first wife may not be good, or the first wife maybe maybe she's the best, or maybe she's better than the second wife. Why shouldn't we think like that? Why shouldn't we think like that? Okay, for example, try to understand. If you make a question your friend, okay, if I ask you, don't you give? If I ask you, don't you give? Okay, what does it mean? He is affirming that you will give. If I ask, surely you will give. He is affirming, right? Likewise, when we express a particular statement, it may be interpreted in different ways because that is a special feature of the language. That is the special feature of the language. From one sign, more and more signs can be generated. More and more signs. Okay, one sign generates another sign in our minds. In our minds, maybe more. Okay, he says, C.S. Pierce says, therefore we have an unending semiosis, where the representment or signifier generates more signs, which we then have to interpret, leading to more signs, Even we have to interpret, leading to more science. We have to interpret more and more meanings out of the sign, right? So signifiers that is represent a man are related to their objects of reference. Their objects of reference in three modes. Okay, we are going to know what is the relation. Now we are going to know what is the relation between the objects and signifier. Okay, signifier and its referent. It's a referent, right? This so this relation can be studied in three modes. This relation can be studied in three modes. There is no, first one is symbol or symbolic. Symbol or symbolic. There is no relation between the signifier and object or referent. Okay, actually there is no relation between the signifier and object or referent. But the relation has to be linked. The relation has to be linked. Her face is like the moon. Okay, she is as beautiful as the moon. She is as beautiful as the moon. Then what is the relation between the moon and the face of the woman? There is no particular relation, but the relation has to be linked here. The relation has to be linked. That is symbolic expression. That is symbolic expression. Many of the signs, in case of the many of the signs, there is no particular relation between the signifier and its object. Its referential object or its reference. There is no real connection between the word cat and the animal and that particular animal. For your kind information, for our convenience, we call that animal as cat. In fact, even that cat, that animal don't know that we are calling her as cat. We are calling her as cat. Okay, they are no way. Those animals are no way relevant to our words, our terminology. Our terminology, right? So there is no real connection between the word cat and that particular animal, what we call as cat. So all language is symbolic. All language is symbolic. We are calling elephants. We named some animals as tigers. These are all symbolic. These are all symbolic. In fact, we are calling this ceiling fan as a fan. Why shouldn't we call it other name? And what is the reason to call it as a fan? There is no reason. There is no proper logic for that. But we are calling. Okay, because we learned the relation or we created the relation. We, the language users, created the relation. We acquire the relation through use. How do we know that relation? How we could acquire that relation? We could acquire the relation through use. We could acquire the relation through use. Okay. So similarly, there is no connection between the act of stopping your vehicle and the red light. Okay, we discussed A traffic light as a sign. There is no connection between the act of stopping your vehicle and the red light. But we habituated it, we acquired it, we mastered it. Okay, or conventionally we planned it. Okay, so this is how we learn the relationship. We learn the relationship. These are meanings we have. Okay, see, let us see the iconic. Iconic or icon. The signifier here resembles the object it seeks to represent. The signifier here resembles the object it seeks to represent. It mimics the signified or the concept, takes on some of the object's qualities. It mimics or it imitates the signified or the concept, takes on some of the object's qualities. Right? Onomatopoeic words are a good example of the iconic sign. Onomatopoeic words are a good example of the iconic sign. Here, the signifier, his sound, seems to capture the actual sound made by the snake. Seems to capture the actual sound made by the snake. The iconic sign is imitative in the relationship between the signifier and signified. Okay, the iconic sign is imitative in the relationship between the signifier and signified. Okay, in the first, there is no relation, but in symbolic, there is no relation between signifier and signified. But here in this iconic, there is a relation. That relation is imitative relation. Imitative in the relation between signifier and signified. And the third one is index or indexical. Index or indexical. The signifier here is directly connected to the signifier in some way. Okay, the signifier here is directly connected to the signified in some way. Okay, a good example of the indexical sign. A good example of the indexical sign would be knocking on the door. When we knock on the door, okay, the people inside can understand that somebody came. We are not telling that we came. We just knocked the door. Okay, when we knock the door, they can understand that. They can understand that, okay, somebody has come or somebody wants them to open the door. Okay, in such a way, in such a way. Okay, thus signs are made up of signifiers. Okay, thus signs are made up of signifiers. Signifiers, that is words or sounds, and signify, that is object, what this sound refers to. And the relation between the relation between the two can be arbitrary in case of symbolic, imitative in case of iconic, or directly connected in case of this indexical. Three aspects. Okay, in these three modes, we can understand the relationship between signifier, that is words or sounds, and signifier, that is objects. Okay, So the process of interaction between the word signifier, the object referred to signified, and the idea or the sign generated in our mind upon hearing or reading the word is semiosis. This process, this total interaction among between the word and the object and the sign generated in our mind upon hearing or reading the word is semiosis. Okay, semioticians believe that reality is understood as a set of signs. Reality is understood as a set of signs, right? So signs construct our reality. These signs construct our reality. Okay. So according to Julia Kristeva, signification included two main components. Signification included two main concepts. One is semiotic, we discussed, and symbolic, we discussed. Semiotic and symbolic. Okay, sign system and a symbolic system. Symbolic representation. Signification is a combination of these two elements. For this Julia Kristeva, signification is a combination of these two elements. Okay. Kristeva sees art as a means of articulating the semiotic. Okay, art as a means of articulating the semiotics, the sign systems. Using the sign systems, we have to create the meaning. That is the art. Using the sign system, using the signs, we are creating the art. Sorry, we are creating or we are articulating a meaning. That is the art. Okay, this is semiotics, because we discussed this topic in relation to the topic, our topic, that is Roman Jakobson's linguistics and poetics. Don't think that this poetics is like Aristotle poetics. Okay, this is the different. Okay, thank you. We shall discuss the remaining topics in the next class. Dear students, thank you.